Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello and welcome to The Money Factor. I'm Richard Naylor, your host. Today's topic is LinkedIn and how you can use it to get a job. My guest is Dr. Tom Denham from Careers in Transition. I want to welcome him to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Great topic.
One of my favorites.
And probably a topic that's very important today with all the social media buzz.
Yes.
You can't go to any chamber meeting without seeing an advertisement for a social media program.
And you cannot open your inbox without somebody inviting you to LinkedIn.
There you go, and that's where we're going. Now, why is LinkedIn so important for getting a job?
Well, let's get a couple things straight.
Okay.
Most people are doing their job searches wrong. They are spending far too much time on the internet and far too little time networking. Networking is the #1 job search strategy. My motto is networking beats not working. So LinkedIn is the connection between the high touch of in-person networking and the high tech of the internet. So it's a way to manage your business cards connection, but also the most important thing is that you have an online reputation that you have to grow, nurture, manage, and protect. And LinkedIn is one of the ways to do that.
That brings us into a number of topics. The online reputation is one. I want to go back to the statement of too much time on the internet.
Too much time on
What
the
are they
internet.
doing? What, maybe hearing something they shouldn't be doing, or how are they wasting their time?
In my private practice, I get phone calls every day from people who are struggling with their job search. And I ask them, what techniques are you using for your job search? And what happens is they tend to go inward. If you've been downsized, laid off, or you're doing a job search, often you're not willing to tell people that you're doing a job search, in fact. So the natural tendency is to go to the internet, because the internet can solve all our problems, obviously.
Monster.com or?
They're going to these mega sites, Monster.com, Hot Jobs, Career Builder, and so is 15 million other Americans who are looking for work. So once a job gets posted online, you're doomed. You have very little chance of doing that. So I asked somebody the other day, how many jobs have you applied to online? And he said, well, over 100. And I said, how many interviews did you get? And he said, 2 phone interviews out of that. That's okay. That's 2%. But I would want people to spend 80% of their job search time buying people cups of coffee. I've written about this. I have a resource on the internet called Eat and Drink Your Way to Your Next Job. Explains the whole thing. So LinkedIn is the way to manage your networks.
So you really have a strong component of trying to connect physically. In other words, not just over the computer.
Right. There's Facebook and then there's FaceTime.
Right.
So we have to have more FaceTime. People hire people they know, like, and trust. So it can start on the internet, then it can go to email, then it can go to a phone call, then it's got to go in person, which might generate an interview, which might generate a second interview, which might generate an offer. Okay. That's usually the natural progression of it.
I think in our last program you said something about it. It's like getting a date. That was trying to get an interview.
Yeah, this is like online dating.
Except serious.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that you had mentioned before that intrigued me was online reputation. Or was it just reputation?
Your online reputation is your reputation. So if you're going to apply for a job, I can virtually guarantee that they're going to do a Facebook search on you and a LinkedIn search and perhaps a Twitter search on you. Or they'll just go into Google and they'll type in your name and then they'll see what comes up.
Now, what do you tell this person who says, look, this is who I am. I want them to know who I am. If they don't want me for who I am, I don't want to work for them.
Well, you know, that's been a theory that's gone on for decades, is that you go to the interview and you, of course, want to be yourself, but you want to be yourself at your very best. The interview is very much like an audition. You don't go to an interview with the same type of attitude or atmosphere that you would if you were home. or with for your friends. You would certainly drop your guard for your friends. After the interview, you're certainly, if you get an offer and you start working there, you're not going to behave in the interview or on the job as you did in the interview. Of course, you're going to be more relaxed. But this is the first meeting, this is the first impression, and you never get a second chance to make that first impression.
Yeah, you know, I know this wasn't a new point. I've heard it on TV talk shows a number of times that people do search Facebook and they look at your website, and so, but I think it's still interesting that people come up with this, but I want to be myself line. Mm-hmm. So how do we use LinkedIn? It's a little different than Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Facebook I think of as for my personal life. I also have a Facebook page for my business careers in transition. But really, LinkedIn, when you try to explain it to people who are new to this social media site, I consider it Facebook for professionals. So it has certain functions that are not in Facebook, but there are things that Facebook, certainly can't replicate. So, for example, you get to post one picture, your profile picture, on there. That should be an outstanding shot of you, not a picture that you took against a mirror, or a picture of you in the car, or something that's low quality.
How about cutting it out from a bigger picture? I've seen that a lot.
Yeah, people sometimes don't think. They don't think about what they're posting on the internet or the type of impression or image that you're trying to create. Again, you're trying to create this online reputation. If you have a professional looking photo, that's the impression that they're getting, that you are in fact a professional.
Right. So that's a difference, I guess, because Facebook, you can put all the photos you want on Facebook.
Right. Do you want me to go down through all the features of this thing? Or you got more questions?
I do. I think we want to kind of help people really figure out how to use it. And I think a good way to do this is, let's go down, and when a question occurs to me as to what do you mean, or exactly how do you do that in this situation, I'll throw that in.
Sounds great.
So go ahead. How do you start it?
It's just as easy as Facebook. You go in and you create a profile. Now, the hardest thing to do in LinkedIn is starting.
Now, why is that?
Because people tend to be late adopters.
I was.
Yes, you were. We have so many things that are distracting us. People can be on Facebook all day long, looking at their friends and family and posting things and playing all kinds of games, and it can be a real time suck. But this is not a time suck. This is an investment. If you're going to nurture and manage your career, you really need to do this. This is really important. Why? Because your competition is doing it. If you don't do this, I can guarantee that somebody else that's applying for that job or building their career is doing this. So it's very important.
So the profile is a photo.
Profile is a photo. Oh, the profile is the whole page. For example.
So your LinkedIn page is your profile.
The LinkedIn page is your profile. So you're going to go in there, and there are various sections that you're going to fill out. And it's going to prompt you. It is sort of idiot-proof. It will prompt you. So you can go in and you can create as many sections as you want. You can go back and complete sections later on. You just save it. Again, the most important thing is that you start. Now, I have a very extensive profile. People can look me up at Dr. Tom Denham. They could go into Google, type in LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com, type in Dr. Tom Denham, and they can look at my profile and use it as a model.
Okay.
But I want people to realize that it doesn't have to be as extensive as mine.
Now, can they see the whole page?
Yeah, they can see the whole page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something that some people don't allow? Not sure.
I'm not sure. I don't think you would want to create a page like this and just keep it to yourself.
Right.
What I think I've learned is that.
But if you're like the president of a company, and you really don't want a lot of people, other than the ones that you're connected to more closely, Maybe it doesn't make sense. Why would you even do it?
If you were president of a company, why wouldn't you do that?
Okay.
That would be a way to brand yourself, brand your products, and draw more attention to your business.
Okay, so the whole page is you.
The whole page is you.
And
now, here's an interesting thing. If you go into LinkedIn.com, you cannot look at my profile because it will ask you to set up a profile. But if you typed in LinkedIn.com and my name after it, you could look at my profile. If you typed into Google, yes, I learned that.
So if you search, what do you get? If you're in LinkedIn,
you get my profile if you search it.
Within LinkedIn?
Within LinkedIn.
Okay.
But you can't go in LinkedIn unless you have a profile. You can't go into LinkedIn directly.
But once you've set up a profile.
Once you've set up a profile, you can go through LinkedIn and do it.
Okay.
It takes 5 minutes to do the very basic things. Then what it'll say is it'll prompt you. It'll say, your profile is 25% complete. If you added another work experience, it would be 35% complete.
Okay.
And then it'll say things like, your profile is 35% complete. If you added more education, it would be 45% complete. And so it keeps prompting you to do this over and over again until you get to where it's 100% complete.
So the two things are the prompts, idiot-proof, and then look at other people's LinkedIn pages.
As a model.
As models.
Yes.
Yours,
what do you like about
other people's.
Yeah. What do you like about mine? What do you like about this person's? What do you like about their pictures? What they've written? And copy and paste.
Okay. And so that sounds pretty simple.
It is simple. And you know what, Richard? It's free.
Right. So yeah.
It's free.
Why
Facebook's
don't you do
free.
it?
This is free. Why would you not want to do this? This is a competitive economy.
Now, how is it like networking?
How is it like?
What makes it networking?
Okay. When I was a kid, I collected baseball cards. I have over 2,000 baseball cards. Well, now that I'm adult, I collect business cards. 15, 20 years ago, I would take my business cards and I would put them in one of these things called a Rolodex.
Right, I remember those.
You have an electronic Rolodex. But what would you do if your Rolodex got filled? You'd get another Rolodex.
And then you have these two big wheels on your desk and you can flip them around.
I had 4 or 5 wheels.
Wow.
And then I'm constantly searching in there for people. And it's only arranged alphabetically.
Last name.
By last name or company or whatever you want to do. So that was taking up space. The other thing is, if one of my connections, one of my business cards left that job, the business card was totally useless. But I didn't know if they had left that job. So I might think this person is a rich resource for me. I pull out their business card, I call them, they're no longer here. Where have they gone? Well, we can't tell you.
And with something like 10 to 15% of the people in there changing jobs every year.
So that's right. So that becomes a problem. Plus, I don't know any more information about their background. I don't know where they went to school. I don't know if they're reputable or their reputation, that kind of thing. So what I will do as part of growing my business, but also growing my circles of influence, is I'll go to a networking function. I'll get people's business cards after I've developed a relationship with them, and I will put them in my LinkedIn.
Now, how do you know they're on LinkedIn?
And then I can rip up their business card.
You search for them once you...
Well, most people in the business community have LinkedIn. It's almost a requirement.
No, I mean, they don't give you a LinkedIn card. So
no. They just give me their business card.
Okay, and then you search for that person.
I search for them, and I'll say, it was really great to meet you. We had a fantastic conversation. I'd like you to join my LinkedIn.
Okay. Now, if somebody was just coming to this, they're just adopting this, they're saying, oh, I should do this. In that case, they're going to have business cards, but they might not even remember where they saw this person a year or two ago.
Right.
Is that an appropriate use of...
You have 3 circles of influence. You have the inner circle, the middle circle, and the outer circle. So most people in your life are in the outer circle. They're acquaintances. So you would start with the inner circle. Those are your closest contacts and connections. The middle circle are good, rich resources, people that you come in contact with frequently. And then there's the outer circle where people you've maybe met once or twice, or you don't have a really strong relationship, but you still know them.
Okay.
So I have almost 1,500 people in my LinkedIn. 1,400 people of those are probably in the outer circle. 80 are in the middle and 20 are in the inner circle. So when you're looking at your business cards, you have to do an assessment and an evaluation and say, how well do I know this person? So there are people in the LinkedIn world called Lions, and Lion is an acronym that stands for LinkedIn Open Networker. And so they will accept anyone into their LinkedIn. There is certain value in that you have lots of contacts and connections. But the disadvantage is if somebody comes into your LinkedIn and sees somebody they want to connect to, they may ask you to do an introduction, and your reaction might be, I don't really know that person. So how valuable is your network? Of the 1,500 people in my network, I do know them.
Okay.
And I get LinkedIn requests from all over the world, all over the country, and lots of people I don't know, and I just hit, you can either accept or ignore, and I just hit ignore.
Well, that makes me feel better because I get these. Now, I wasn't on LinkedIn until you suggested it maybe a year ago.
And you're a better person for it.
I hope so. And even I get these requests from people, I have no idea. And then I'll click on the name to try to figure out, well, who is this? Because I don't just say no, because sometimes my memory is like, oh yeah, I just met him yesterday. He was on my show or something.
Right.
And I'll find that it's some kind of marketer from New York City. And I just say, ignore. And so
that's right.
But I always feel bad about this. I'm like,
no, because they will move on to the next.
Or they don't even know they sent it, probably.
Yeah, those people tend to be the LinkedIn Open Networkers. They just want to have as many people in there as possible. It's like having Twitter followers. That's not what I'm looking for in my electronic Rolodex. I didn't collect rolls and rolls of Rolodexes for the mere sake of
you could have bought a phone book.
Right, right. I didn't collect those just for the sake of having those. I collected those because I'm relationship oriented. I don't go to a networking function to try to get as many cards as I can. I just try to go and meet people that I want to build relationships with.
And so when you talk about these three circles, there's an emotional or intellectual or some kind of a networking connection that you feel with them to be in there at all.
Right. That's right. So if somebody that I don't know sends me an email that they want to connect with me, I look at it and say, how do I know this person? What is the quality of my relationship with this person? If I don't know this person, what they really want is they may want to mine my 1,500 connections. It's kind of like again trading like baseball cards. So if this person comes to the table and they've got 100 baseball cards and I've got 2,000, oh, they're very interested in getting at my connections.
Right.
That's right, for sales or marketing or whatever.
Right.
So I'm pretty cautious about who I accept, and I've gotten to the point where I've been doing this so long, I have no problem hitting ignore.
And I do know that 500 is the highest score you get. It just says 500 plus. So you're like in the I'm there club.
Right. You've sort of made it in the online world when you have the 500 plus. And I want to make the point is, you don't have to do any of this stuff. You can still have a professional reputation without LinkedIn. But when people keep asking you to join LinkedIn and everybody's doing it, you are either going to ride this wave or you're going to get crushed by it. It's kind of like when the internet first came out and people said, I don't have an email, I prefer if people call me. Everyone has an email address now. And it's also the same argument where people would say, what do I need a website for? How do you make money, on the internet and that kind of thing. We don't say those things anymore.
Right. And a LinkedIn profile is almost like what a website used to look like, except you can change it anytime you need to.
I revise my LinkedIn profile more than I do my website. As a matter of fact, I had a client just the other day who's thinking about signing up with me. And what I did was I said, before you pay me money, you want to look at my credentials so you know what you're getting into. My process is on here, my recommendations, my skill sets, my education, my experience. So he can do a little research on me before he decides to pay me a fee.
So now for a person getting a job or wanting to find a job, they're in a little bit different position. So maybe it's a good time to just look at the different reasons that people are on LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn to get a job at this point. I'm not really anticipating another job. I'm old enough that I'll stay here and I'll probably retire. Somebody else might be chairman of Ford Motor Company. They don't need LinkedIn. They're in the newspaper. Their face was on the picture of, was on Forbes magazine last week.
Right.
Somebody can find this person.
Right.
But so they have a different purpose, right, than somebody who's looking for a job.
See, I would argue that the time to find your next job is before you need to find your next job.
Obviously, right.
So there have been so many people that have been downsized in this economy that have not collected the business cards, who have not nurtured their networks, who have not set up LinkedIn. Now, all of a sudden, they're in a panic because they know, or hopefully they know, that networking is the best way to find a job. So networking is like planting a garden. You can't, plant a seed today and then expect to harvest it tomorrow. So this is not only about LinkedIn basics for job searching, it's really LinkedIn basics for career development. It's in your best interest to develop your online reputation. So in terms of the job search, you're putting your education, your experience on here. You may even want to put in the top summary section the type of position that you're looking for, or you may want to do a summary of your brand. Who are you? Marketing professional looking for opportunities in private sector, or something of that sort.
So the summary section, where is that exactly?
It's right at the top of the LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
In many ways.
Is it used a different way, or it seems like there's a flexibility in the different parts where you can use them however it best suits you. So the message would be tailored to your own situation.
Right. In my summary, it says Dr. Tom Denham, career counselor and motivational speaker with careers in transition. For a free phone consultation, call this number.
And you could have just put Dr. Tom Denham, career counselor, but
I could, but I went the extra mile doing that. There's also a thing, just like in Facebook, where you can update your status. I do the Dr. Tom career tip of the day. I do that to motivate people, inspire people, and also create this image that I'm positive.
Now, somebody could think that status means something else, like I changed my job.
Could be, right. You could go in there and...
So that shows you can be more
in your
flexible.
job search, let's say you had 500 people in your LinkedIn, which is not too hard to do. Oh, and just in terms of adding connections, if you have 275 connections and I've got 1,500 and you and I have a good relationship, I would want you to start building your network with the 1,500, because that would be easier than to go into a lot of people that had just 100.
Right.
So you could easily get to 300 or 400 probably by using mine. Then once you have those people, then you go into, as soon as you accept somebody, then you're going to go into theirs and continue to build your network. Also, LinkedIn will suggest people that you may want to connect with. So getting back to the status update, if you're looking for a job, you could go in there and say, I've got an interview today at Global Foundries. Does anyone have any tips and advice that they would give me? And people could respond that way.
And now, how would people know that you had said that?
Because all the people that are that are connections, that's going to go into their news feed.
And is that a weekly thing? The news feed? How does that work? Because I get them periodically.
You digest them weekly.
So is that a setting that I choose to digest?
Yeah, it's a setting
them?
that you choose.
Okay.
Well, actually, you will get an email digest of all the things that have happened.
And I find that very comforting.
Yeah,
comforting's the wrong word, but
informative.
That's not what I was looking for. It's informative, and it makes it easier for me to scan it and say,
right.
not oh, look at that.
Right. When you go in,
if I'm going to get like 15 emails separately, I find that annoying.
Oh, absolutely.
The digest really
and you don't
helps.
have time for that.
Right.
If you go into LinkedIn and you click on Home, you will see a picture of you at the top. But right below that, that's your news feed. You could just literally scroll through that, and it'll say things like Richard Naylor is now connected to Mark Egan.
I've seen that, yeah.
And
I am.
Yeah, and you are. But that would do that most recently. Richard Naylor has just updated a profile picture.
I've seen that.
Richard Naylor has added another work experience or something like that,
right.
or a recommendation or
right.
whatever.
So those are all messages I've
right.
seen.
So in terms of your job search, you are letting 500 people know that you have an interview at Global Foundries. Of the 500, probably 5% will actually read the news feed. Okay, but still, that's 25 people. That's 25 people that you're letting know what you're doing in terms of your job search.
Right, And I don't know, would you put any more about the interview?
Could be.
What you were interviewing for?
Could be that you're interviewing for this position. Do they have any tips? Do they know of anybody that might be
And
able
that
to...
tells people exactly what your skill is or what you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a section on the LinkedIn profile where you can put in your skills. What you have to offer. In the other part of the summary, I have a paragraph about my business. I have links to my blogs, and then I have sample topics for speaking engagements. So I'm trying to always cross sell things that I'm doing. In the other
so
part,
actually, I guess I'm getting a second purpose for LinkedIn. A lot of people use it in order to just interact with other businesses and business people.
whether you're looking for a job, managing your career, or you are running a business, we are all in sales. So you as a librarian might not think, well, what do I need this? I'm not trying to sell any products. Yes, you are. You're trying to sell books.
Absolutely.
You're trying to sell programs. You're trying to sell services. And if you go into LinkedIn and you've got 500 people, and then in your status update, you put something about some new library program, that's a free way to market yourself.
And I hadn't thought about that.
Right.
It's a good idea.
So yeah, I'm trying to
course.
market my business, but I'm also trying to market myself for new opportunities. I took some time out and I wrote down how LinkedIn is helping my career. I'll give you just a couple examples. I had a private company read an article that I published on LinkedIn, and they asked me to speak to their employees about a career development topic. They paid me money.
So let's go through what you did there. It's probably the same for everything. How did you put that on your LinkedIn?
I write a blog for the Times-Union
Okay.
every week. I cut the first paragraph of the blog and then I posted it into a section of LinkedIn called Discussions.
Okay.
And I'm a member of 50 discussion groups. And these are interest-specific groups. So it could be the Capital Region Human Resource Association, Albany Jobs New York, Albany Colonie Chamber of Commerce, Colonie Chamber of Commerce. And once a week, I post that first paragraph and then I post a link to the Times-Union. So my goal in doing that is to educate and inform, and also to share the message of career development and help other people, but also to increase my brand out there. So somebody read this link to the Times-Union, read the blog and said, this guy must know what he's doing. Let's have him come in and talk to our employees about career development. After I went and talked to the employees about career development, as a result of that, one of the employees signed up to be a client. So
that was two interactions.
Two hits there.
Two hits, yeah.
That's right. I had somebody else find me on another website, but then went to my LinkedIn to check out my background, and then he hired me to be a client. I've had people who've read my blog, which I posted to LinkedIn. I've been able to do internet radio shows. There's a LinkedIn discussion group called Capital District Linking. It's a professionals group. They had a speed networking event, which is very similar to speed dating. As a result of the speed networking event, I met a woman who landed me a TV show on Channel 6.
Great.
So there's a lot of ways
How do you find these groups?
There is a section where you can search for people, for connections,
Okay.
and you can search for groups. You
Any
can
way to
search for
browse
companies.
groups? I mean, because how do you know what groups there are?
Well, you would type in something like
a
Albany
subject?
Career, Albany, New York jobs.
So anything
And then
connected to you,
Right.
and then you find a related, okay.
And as you may know, I'm passionate about mountaineering. So there is a LinkedIn group, discussion group about mountaineering, which has very little to do with business, but I get
Boys
lots
must
of
be boys.
boys must be boys. It's great, and there's also another discussion group called Executive Athletes. These are people who own their own businesses or have high positions in corporations that do triathlons, marathons, high altitude mountaineering, and I belong to that group too.
Okay.
So there's a discussion group for everything out there. I have my own discussion group called the Careers and Transition Forum. Anyone can join that. So if you go into LinkedIn, go into groups, and search on Careers and Transition Forum, I will absolutely accept you. But If I don't know you, you're not going to become a connection.
Okay.
So those two are separate.
Two separate, okay.
But what will happen is every week I will give them an article.
I was just thinking about quality. I guess the advice would have to be anything you do, think about the quality. Because having somebody come to something that you want to have as a group, if it doesn't really look good, now your reputation is not exactly bolstered.
Your online reputation is your reputation. You have to clean it up. Be very careful what you put on Facebook. Think. There is nothing on the internet that's private, and everything is permanent. Even if you think that something is private in Facebook, it can be copied, downloaded.
Or it can be shared with somebody who you thought was going to never tell anyone, I would imagine.
Exactly. If you've got 1,000 friends on Facebook and you have a falling out with 3 of them, they can take your pictures.
2 more than you need to be dangerous.
They can take your pictures and they can go viral with it.
Right.
So you really have to be very careful. You can search for jobs in LinkedIn too. There's a jobs button in there. You can search on companies, you can research companies. Companies are posting their jobs in their LinkedIn accounts.
I wanted to just check and see if I'm leaving something out. And one thing I think is interesting to address, I know the different categories in LinkedIn. I've read the free one is probably all I need. But I do know once in a while I wanted to send an what is it called, an in LinkedIn or something email to someone, and that doesn't work. So I'll have to find the email and paste it into my browser to send the email.
Or you could send me a request to do what's called an introduction to that person.
Okay, let's go through that.
Or
we're almost out of time, but this is interesting.
Or what you could do is, if they're in your LinkedIn, you could make sure that you had their business card. You probably have them in your electronic Rolodex through your Yahoo or your Hotmail or your Gmail.
Right. I know you can also import all of your emails into a LinkedIn subsection or something, and then see who in that group is on LinkedIn, which is probably a good way to start.
Just something quick. My profile I checked today has been viewed by 6 people in 3 days. And I've come up 27 times in the last 3 days in searches. So again, I'm creating this brand. I'm trying to get it out there.
And that means there's statistics available here.
There's statistics, yes. And there's numbers, and they'll give you numbers of who's in your connections and industries that they're in geographically, where they are. It's fantastic.
Also, I didn't do that question very well. Is it worth paying the $29?
I don't think so.
A month or a week or something?
Tom Denham has 1,500 people in his LinkedIn, uses it every single day, and doesn't pay a dime for it.
You've heard it, folks. I would say that's pretty impressive. So unless you have a strong reason you need to send some methodical message or whatever they're selling.
It also could be like, I don't know what I don't know. Meaning, if I bought it, I might be a convert and say, oh, this is the greatest thing next to sliced bread, you should pay the money. I don't have anyone saying that to me.
Okay, and you've met a lot of people.
I met a lot of people, and I see some people have it, but I don't think it's a requirement whatsoever.
Anything you think we left out?
There is a section for recommendations.
Oh, that's important.
I have over 30 recommendations in there. That's very important when somebody is trying to do a reputation search on me. They want to see, how good are you? My client. I have recommendations from my clients, coworkers, people in the business community. And I think that's very important. You do not need to have 30 recommendations in there, but you need to have 3 to 5.
Okay.
That's a minimum of what you should have.
And
it makes you legitimate. It validates the work that you do.
And they should probably come out of what circle? The intimate.
I would start with the inner circle too.
Okay.
Just don't ask your mom to do it.
Of course. Thank you. I think we could probably go on this topic for a while, but
can I tell you one other thing? I have written a handout. It's on the internet. You Google LinkedIn Basics for Job Searching, LinkedIn Basics for Job Searching, type in Dr. Tom Denham, and Denham is D-E-N-H-A-M, and you can pull it off my blog and read it and get started. And that's exactly what it is. It's a starter's guide for LinkedIn, and it's very simple.
Great. So the combination of that and the fact that it's almost foolproof, you go on and it gets you going. But it doesn't always tell you exactly how you ought to use it. So I think this would be
Yeah, and
very
I
helpful.
sit down with people, give them LinkedIn lectures and mentoring, and people are welcome to do that too.
Great.
But this is not going away. Over 1,000 people work at LinkedIn. It had a major IPO, raised several $1 billion. Every 12 days, 1 million people join LinkedIn. There are 135 people on LinkedIn. If a company had 135 million customers, it would be a Fortune 500 company. So
that's pretty good.
I want to advocate starting on LinkedIn.
Don't put it off anymore.
Don't put it off.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Tom.
Thank you for having me. Another great show.
Great. And I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show, that you tune in again next week, and that you have a great week. Take care.
Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.